Rightio, so this is what we call a 6-stand open board. That's the style of shed it is. For its time, it was built in around about the 1919 it was built. And for its time, this style of a shed is a very efficient shed to work in for the rousies and wool handlers. It's no real different for a shearer in whatever shed he's working in, because he's just got his pannier sheet and his board to work on. So when we talk about a board in a shearing shed, that's where the shearers work. And the board is roughly about that wide. Now you can see where the board sort of finishes. You can see the grease patterns all the way along the board. Well, that's the shearer's area to shear his sheep. And that's grease, that's lanolin. And that lanolin comes out of the skin of the sheep with the wool. It grows with the wool, and it helps to keep the dust and maybe the elements out of the wool. So it keeps it right at the tip where we want it. So you narrow here in my hand. And what we got on the handpiece is what we call wide gear now. There was quite a kerfuffle when this wide gear come in though. The fella in Adelaide invented it, and he thought it was the next best thing to shearing. Well, he wasn't too far wrong. It was just that the union stepped in and said no. The wide gear is not to be used in Australian sheds, because what they thought was going to happen is they thought wide gear was going to make sheep shearing so fast it was going to sacrifice a heap of shearers' jobs. And they didn't want that. That's the last thing they wanted. That was just going to cause them another problem to sort out. So they said no wide gear. The wide gear fella then jumped the ditch and went to New Zealand. In no time the Kiwis were using wide gear. What do the Kiwis do though? They keep coming over here, don't they? Yep, they were bringing wide gear with them though. And by this time, the union had lost hold. They couldn't stop them using wide gear. So there was these Kiwis teams getting around with using wide gear. And Aussie shearers referred to them as scabs, because they just didn't like them. They didn't like the thought of this. It was still in their mindset that it was going to make sheep shearing so fast, and they felt threatened by the Kiwis coming in and going to pinch their job. They thought they were going to come in, shear all the sheep in Australia, jump the ditch, go and shear all theirs, and be back in time to shear all ours again. It's not going to work like that. It's not that much wider, and you can only use the width of the comb in a couple of different spots of shearing the sheep. So it wasn't going to make sheep shearing so fast, so we went on strike for 9 months over that wide gear, because we thought, well, we'll give the Kiwis what for, we'll see if they can do it, you know. So all the Aussie shearers went on strike for 9 months, going out and burning the cocky sheds down that were used in the Kiwi teams and all sorts of stuff. It was a mess. And pub fights, they reckon the pub fights on Friday nights are just horrific when the scabs come back to town, you know. But in saying that, 9 months, what happens to sheep? They don't think about that. Like, sheep cannot do without a shepherd. It says that way. At 6 weeks old, he was working Indian runner ducks. So pretty knowledgeable little dogs. Got a lot of headroom, and little Scotch collies and that. They've got a pinhead on them. They've got no room for brains. And, so you get a dog with a good head on him, and you normally got a bit of go about him. So he'll help you pan up. He's more of a herding dog though, so he's more of a paddock dog. So his forte is to round them up and bring them to you. Yep, that's his go. Right, yeah, well I'll pan up and then I'll bring the sheep out and show you a bit about sheep.
Right in there. Dog is right in there. That was looking from the top of the sheep.
Just like that. So when we bring the sheep out, we've got to sit it on the right in the same spot every time. We get pretty good at that because we're restricted to this down tube. So there's not much we can do if we can't reach it. No. So we got to be right on posy, especially if they're big sheep. A couple of things about a sheep. She's tagged in the right ear. That means she's a ewe in Queensland and a wether in New South Wales. I don't know why they're a bit backwards back there. But you always tag a ewe in the right ear in Queensland. So I know her gender from the tag, and I also know her age by the tag colour. This tag colour comes around in 8 years every time. So 8 years. So she's either a really, really old one when that colour comes back around, or a really, really young one. So normally you can tell. But normally they're all finished within 8 years. Normally we sell them off at 6-year-old. We sell all our ewes off. So she's sitting there. You might think she's a pet or something, but no, she's no pet. If you sit them on the board comfortable, they will just sit there for you. They just don't move. But if you don't hold them right and they get a bit, and you're a bit tense or a bit having a bad day, well, they can feel that. And that's so true. Like, animals are so good at picking up tension. And that's the same with the sheep. When we're shearing, we make sure we're having a good day. So we tell their age also by their teeth. When we send them to market, that's how we get paid if they're mutton or lamb. Normally lambs will have lamb's teeth until 14 months of age, and then after that they crack 2 teeth, and they'll be big buck teeth at the front. This girl, she's a 4-year-old, so she should nearly be getting to have a full head of teeth now. She's got, I'd say she just cracked those, her 2 teeth, I think. Yeah. So she'll get those 2 front ones right at the front, and they'll be her first 2 adult teeth she'll get, and that makes her mutton, so young mutton, hogget, what we call hogget, or 2 tooth. You might see that on the butcher shop. Every now and again you'll get 2 tooth chops or hogget chops. They're probably the best chop you'll ever eat, but they might be about this big and they're called lamb chops. That's mutton done up as lamb. Yeah.
That's not what we have as a barbecue chop, is it? No.
No, it'll be probably a lamb chop.
Okay.
Yeah, as a barbecue chop. Mutton gets the tag as being tough.
Yeah.
Hold her. So we pick her handpiece up and we start shearing a belly wool first. So we shear down into the flank area here. 2 blows on this side, and then we cross over down this side and we shear across to that line. 5 blows, you should have the belly off, and it's its own class of wool. It's the finest fibre on the sheep, the belly. So it gets pulled off, and the rousies deal with that. Out this hind leg, back in through the crack. She's beautiful, clean ewe underneath here. Got no wool here. That's how you want them, nice, clean. She's a good, easy care sheep. So we shear out this hind leg then, and then we turn around. We come back in under there on our underside, what we call our underside. Around, and then we go under the tail, on top of the tail, and shear right up the backbone. Once we've done that, we sit her up, we take the top knot off, and we step forward like that, and this is where we shear her neck. It's a harder spot for the sheep to sit in, and it's a harder spot to shear the sheep. So we clear the brisket, and then we shear up the neck here. And then we pull up, and that breaks that neck wall down, and then gives us a line to keep going. Now as we're doing that, we step around, we lay her down. Remembering we've already shorn this back leg up to about here. Okay, so we got wool starting about here again. So that's where we sit her up there like that, and we shear around to the back of the head. And that's what we call our long blow. So we're doing blows, just filling her up. Filling that comb right up on this one. Right around there, come up under the ear, and then we down this side of the neck, we clear the ear, and then we step it back there like that as we're shearing the second shoulder, and then down to the shoe. Once we've done that, we step back And this is where we enter our whipping side or our money side. Because at the bottom here, another $4.30. And it doesn't take much to get us shearers excited. So we come ripping down this last side. It's our whipping side. And when we're getting towards the bottom here, so they don't kick on you, you let them have their head up a bit, and they can sort of see what's going on a bit, and they stay a lot calmer. So remember when we did a blow from the tip of the tail up the backbone? So we start shearing through onto that already shorn stuff. And this is the area that the cocky wants cleaned up. If we start leaving dags on there, we get told off pretty quick. Yeah, because we're getting paid good money, and paid good money to do a good job. So, and that's it. You see where her head's facing if I let it go? Yeah. Straight for that hole, and that's our money box. Now, we used to call it a just our count out pen, but now she's a money box. Every time we throw one down there, we can hear it rattling. Before I let her go, I'm just going to show you something interesting about a sheep.
She's cooperative, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. She's a good girl. There you go.
Cover face.
That's what you call getting the wool pulled right over your eyes. And a fair bit of that happens today. Oh,
she's
and
a good girl.
sheep.
You sure she's not trained?
No, she's not trained. No way.
That's good. Yeah, that's amazing.
No. So 4 years, she's probably been shorn 5 or 6 times. Yeah. But not the sheep remember it, I don't think. They don't remember. The sheep are pretty dumb. There's one thing dumber than a sheep, and that's a bloke who tries farming them. I'm not going to put her down there on her own. Normally, they go down the chute, and within a minute, there's got a mate down there with them pretty well. But being on her own, she'd probably whack into a rail or something, so we'll just leave her go back here with her mates.